Hi, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my knitting podcast. My name is Oline and I'm a knitter from Norway, and on this podcast we talk about all things knitting really, yarn, our current projects, our finished projects, what we want to cast on, what yarn we want to get, just all of that. And if you have been watching my last couple of episodes, you might be able to tell that my Moby is now finally done. This was on my needles the whole of October. I started the last day in September and I finished it the very last day in October. So this really was my October selfish knit project. And I am so happy with it. It turned out just like I wanted it to, and right when it finished we also got winter. Like, we have been kind of transitioning into winter for a while now, but now it really is winter, and I can show just how it looks like outside today. Now right when I'm filming it's snowing, and the amount of snow we've got now, I think we will have like snow until maybe March. So not that we have that much snow now, but just I don't think it's going to melt to the point where all of the snow is gone again now. So snow it is. I think we're going to find the skis and everything soon, at least for my son. So that's exciting. But yeah, I'm very happy I finished my Moby just in time for winter and snow. I tried it out the first day it was finished when walking my son outside, and even though it was windy and it was well below freezing, it wasn't even cold in this. I didn't have a jacket on over or anything. I just had this one on, and since it's knit in a DK weight wool yarn and mohair, it's just really warm and the wind doesn't get through it that much. So I'm super happy with this, and it will definitely be used a lot this winter. I also really like how it looks with the snow. This is white, the snow is white. I'm just super happy to have it done. I've also made a whole video all about just the process of the Moby. So if you're interested in like the in-depths of the Moby and my working on it, I'll link to that here. Yeah, I used 550 grams of drops charisma, I think, about, and then 175 of the drops kid silk, both in the off-white color, and I knit the size medium, and I blocked it quite aggressively because it was quite tight fitting before that, but now, as you can see, it fits quite perfectly, I would call it, and I'm just super happy. And it was such a relief as well to get this off my needles, because I just had so much on my needles. So getting this off, like this big all over structured pattern of my needles, was amazing, because then I just had smaller projects and easier projects. So yeah, super excited about this, and it kinda cured my insecurity about knitting up patterns. I'm still a bit afraid of the porcelain sweater, but I was super afraid about this one too, and once I got started it was way easier than I thought. So I think I just need to like bring that energy into the porcelain sweater. So crossing my fingers, I'll start on that either this year or very early next year, because I also think the porcelain sweater in white and blue would be so cute in the snow. But yeah, that's all about what I'm wearing, and this was also my very last finished project in October. But we're not really going to talk about finished projects now. We are going to move into WIPs, and this is a mix of new and old WIPs. Not just the same WIPs again and again, week after week, like I feel it's been these last few weeks. But I guess we can start with my oldest, most boring WIP, because there's not really much to say. This is the Miniaugustins No1 I've been knitting on. I'm knitting it in drops Puna, and I am exactly where I was last week. I've done nothing except transfer it on a smaller needle because I needed the larger needle for another project. Not used up this skein yet, and yeah, I don't have that much left before I move on onto the border. I just have a couple of rows with this pattern left to go, and it is super pretty, and I really want to finish this just for the satisfaction of blocking it and to be done with it. So hopefully now that I'm done with this other structured thing, this structured thing can get more of the attention. But yeah, this was just on the back burner this week. Not all of the projects can get as much attention every week, so there's not really that much to say about this. But in more exciting news, I have my Never sweater, and this has gotten quite a lot of attention since last week. This has been my main WIP since finishing. I've had a lot of main WIPs this week, and every time I've finished a main WIP, a new one has been promoted to my main WIP, but this is now the current one in the main WIP spot. And as you can see from last week, I've done a lot. I think I just had the collar last week, and now I've started on the raglan and actually also finished the raglan. I've separated for the sleeves, and oh my god, did that feel good. I had so many stitches at the end. I'm knitting with drops Lima in this orchid color, and at the end of my raglan increases, each row there was just so many stitches, so I would get at maximum 10 rows out of one skein. So just crazy how much yarn consumption there was. So there is quite a few skeins already used, but now I have a lot fewer stitches since I've separated for the sleeves. So I hope the body will go a bit faster, at least each row, because oh my god, it was a pain just knitting, and the row would never finish. But now I'm hoping to see a bit quicker progress in the round. This is how far I've knit since separating, so not that much, but everything just feels better. It just glides better on the needle, everything, when there isn't that many stitches. So it's been really pleasant to get rid of those stitches. Also, what I really want to do now that I've separated the sleeves is to actually try it on, just to see how oversized it actually is, because I think this is huge. And I must say I've really enjoyed working on this, even though the rounds have been really long to knit, and they've been so long I'm like unsure about, am I on an increase row now or am I not? But it's been just a pleasure to work on something that's just stockinette in the round. There's a couple of increases, but after the Moby it was nice to have a selfish project that was just easier to bring around and just knit a few stitches on here and there. Now it's getting so big that it's a bit harder to bring around again, but yeah, it's definitely nice to have something very basic after the Moby sweater. I'm just putting the stitches on hold, at least a couple of them, so I can try it on. Hope that's enough. Let's see. So here, now that I've put a couple of stitches on hold, you can kind of see it bit better maybe. Here it is, so you can see it's quite large. It also has German short rows in the front to shape the neck. But yeah, I'll just try it on. I think after I'm finished with the skein I'm currently on, I just started that skein. When I've used all of that yarn up, I think I'm going to start on the sleeves, just because I like to start on the sleeves quite early on, so I don't have to go back and do those at the end when I'm finished with the body. The sleeves look a bit weird now because the stitch holder they're on is a bit tight compared to the fit of the sweater, but here you can see it's definitely very oversized, but I really like the look of this. I was a bit unsure about how I would feel, but I think the raglan detail is super cool, and I just like the feel of this being a bit more airy, flowy, bigger. So I'm super interested to see if I still feel the same way when the sleeves are longer. So that's also why I want to do the sleeves, just to be able to tell how the sweater will fit me even better, because I think it's easier to tell how the sweater will fit once you've done the sleeves. And I didn't mention, I'll probably have written it before this, but this is a test knit for a copy collie that I'm doing. I'm test knitting her Never sweater, and I'm having a blast test knitting it. So I think since this is a test knit, this will stay top priority till it's finished. But now that there's just the sleeves and the body left to go, I think it will go quite quickly. And yeah, I'll try to give a better look at how it's looking. You can see it's quite oversized, but I think this sweater is just going to be perfect for winter also. Just those cold mornings when you just don't want to get out of your bed. This is kind of like wearing a blanket, because it's just so big and cozy, and it's going to be so warm. So I'm super excited, can't wait. And yeah, definitely trying this on just gave me even more motivation to work on it. I also think the 2x2 neckline looks super good. I was a bit worried it was going to be too loose because it looked so big, but I think the fit of it is just perfect. Not too tight, but also not like too huge. So super excited. Going to continue working on this immediately once I'm done filming, probably. I'm just going to put my Moby back on, because since it is so cold outside, even though we are inside, it is still cold. So yeah, need to wool up in the winter months, and really throughout the whole year. I use wool every single day. Sometimes I change sweaters multiple times a day, just depending on where I'm going, what I'm doing, how cold it is, but sweaters are a must. And since we are talking about cold weather, here is my next WIP, and this one is kind of done, but I still have another one to go, and this is the Doble Tøfler, I think that's what it's called. I'm just going to look. Doble Tøfler, yeah, it's a pattern by Sandnes Garn, and it's a free pattern, and this is how it looks. It's, what's Tøfler called in English? I have no clue, but it's like basically felted socks. This is how you knit it. So I cast on here, then I knit a couple of rows and knit each one of these separately with decreases and everything, and then you kind of tuck them into each other. that's not the easiest thing, I think, but yeah, you basically just tuck them together and then you felt them. I've not felted this one yet because I just finished it. I think I cast on this not last night but the night before that, and then I finished it this morning. So it's super quick knit. It's on 5.5 millimeters in Fridagslua, or I used Nepal. I have been kind of racking my brain trying to figure out what to do with the yarn that's left over from my father's zipper sweater. I had 3 skeins left over, and then I remembered this pattern, and it is quite cold, especially on the floor. We have wood floors and the cold just creeps in, and if we're walking around barefoot it gets really cold, so I wanted my son to have something just super cozy and warm. So I've made him this, maybe slippers is the right word? Doble Tøfler. So these are in the size 25 to 26, I think. That also depends on how well these felt, of course. But yeah, I'm going to felt them. If it turns out great, I'll be super excited because I think these are going to be super comfy. But also a bit worried about the felting part because I don't felt a lot of things. I think the only thing I felted on my own was his Christmas gift last year. I made him sitteunderlag. What's that called in English? Don't know. A sitting blanket, just for when we are out in the woods. And I felted that. That was also made in Drops Nepal, and that turned out great, I think. But it's also a bit harder to just mess up a rectangle. But hopefully this will turn out great. I just have to knit the other one and then I can felt them. I also really want to make them for myself, but I'm trying to not buy more yarn, and I didn't have enough drops Nepal to make them for myself, but I'll just live vicariously through my son, and I really hope he likes this. That's the one like scary part about knitting for kids. What if he doesn't want to use them? But he has tried them on and he really liked them, so I just hope he will continue to like them once they've been felted. But yeah, that's my last WIP, and I think I will be able to finish this quite quickly. This is just kind of a refreshener for myself because now I've been working on so many big projects and projects that take quite a long time, so it was just nice to cast something on large needles and just for it to quickly be done. And I'm also thinking about some other projects I want to do that's small and will just go by quickly. I'm going to knit a couple of baby socks. My son needs socks, those are a bit larger, but I want a matching hat for the Moby sweater. I talked about that last podcast. I want the Fridagslua with cables and everything in the scrap yarn from this Moby. And then I'm also going to knit a bonnet for one of my son's friends as a birthday gift. So I have a couple of small projects I can do throughout the bigger projects. I think I need that because the Never sweater is going to get big. It's going to be a big oversized sweater, so I think it will be nice to have something small to work on as well. And speaking about small projects, Christmas is also closing in. We are in November now, so this is the last month before Christmas month. And I'm getting a bit worried if I want to do Christmas gifts. I should have already started, to be honest. But I'm so unsure about what to knit if I want to do Christmas gifts. Do you have any suggestions? What should I knit? Do you have any good patterns for like quick Christmas gifts? Yeah, just any suggestions, let me know, because I want to knit Christmas gifts if I have the time rather than buying them. But I just need some good suggestions because I can't really, nothing comes to mind. But yeah, now we'll move into finished knits, and this week I actually have finished knits. I have quite a few. I've already talked about the Moby sweater. That was my biggest finished knit this week and this month really. But I've also got this Sunday suit. I think this had one sleeve and 2 legs left to go last time, but now it's all done, and if you can see, I've even sewn in buttons, as always, with double the spacing in between. I never do 14 rows as the Petiteknit pattern calls for. I always do 28, just because who would want to do that many buttons? I sure wouldn't. This is knit in tynn merino wool from Sandnes Garn. I don't know what color it is because this was from their fabrikkutsalg, so it didn't say what color it was, but it's some grey sort of color, and it's knit in the size 2 to 4 months, and I used 2 skeins, kinda exactly, so that's 100 grams. Super cute, super small, and now the order I've been stressing about knitting up is finally all done. And this week I seriously used all of my free time, all of my knitting time, all of my downtime one day to weave in all the ends and sew in buttons. Not just for this, I also had the Moby, I had some projects for my son, some projects for the twin gift knit I'm knitting up, but I just had so many projects that had just been neglected after finishing knitting them, so I just had to do the boring part for a whole day, sewing in the buttons and doing everything. But here is the Selmas Sleepsuit, and I think it turned out super cute. This has bigger buttons than the 2 other ones. This is knit in Kos in light marzipan. And then here is the Monday suit in 2 to 4 months. Same buttons as the Sunday suit, same distance in between them. And this is knit in Sunday in the color putty, I think. And then the Sunday suit. So this week I finally finished them all, so now I'm going to ship them off and be done with them. And it feels, honestly, it feels great to finally be done with the order and just have time to finally knit whatever I want to at my own time and at my own pace, and not have something hanging over me. Even though I'm knitting up quite a few gifts, I feel like I can knit up gifts at more of my own pace than an order, because I kind of decide how much to gift, and it's much more of like a want than doing an order is. So just really nice to have a break from that after I think it's been a month of knitting on those as well. And then my last finished knit of the week is the Ankers blouse, and this is one of the knits for the twins. This also has a button here in the back, folded up hems. I was a bit worried that these were going to curve outwards because it didn't look that great before washing, but now that it's washed, everything just looks super nice. And I think it's nice once in a while to do a pattern without ribbing. I think it looks a lot more elegant. And this was, as I said, a twin knit, so now I have 2 matching ones of these. Both of them finished. This one baby merino ice blue, this one baby merino petroleum. And I'm just super excited to have finished things this week. It might sound like I got a lot of knitting done, and I did, but most of my knitting time was actually spent working on the Never sweater, which isn't done. I've just had so many WIPs lately, and even though I wish they would have kind of been finished one, like a bit more spread out, so I wouldn't end up with all of them at once. That's why I got so much finished this week, because everything had like this much left to go, and the Anker blouse had like this much left on the body. I think my Moby just had the ribbing on the body to go. The Sunday suit just had one sleeve and 2 legs to go, and that's not a lot in a size 2 to 4 months. The Anker blouses are in the size 3 to 6 months. And yeah, the more I finish of this gift knit for the twins, the more excited I get. Now I am very close to at least my halfway goal, I think. But most of the things I have left, I've done a lot of the like bigger pieces, so a lot of what's left now are bonnets and balaclavas and socks and mittens, and all of those are way quicker than like a whole suit or pants or sweaters. So I am hopefully going to get even more knit on that this upcoming week, because their arrival is getting closer and closer and closer and closer, and I really want to finish everything I'm supposed to, so I can send everything all at once. So even though my focus is on the Never sweater, I am also focusing on twin knits as well, and I think that will also be a lot of the small projects I do in between. I think maybe I might do it the way I do one skein of drop Slima on 1 or 2 maybe on the Never sweater, and then I can work on a baby knit and then go in between them like that. Or I'd spend a week doing the Never sweater and then baby knits on the weekend. I'm going to separate it like that or something, just so I get a bit of everything. I'm sorry, I've been coughing. I think the whole family is kind of brewing on a cold. Usually it gets like that in between the season changes, when all of a sudden you get much hotter weather or much colder. So I think that's what's happening now, because the last week we've been getting temperatures at below negative 10 degrees, 15, 16, so it's gotten a lot colder quite quickly. So, but hopefully the snow that's coming now will kind of act kind of isolating. What's it called? Maybe isolation. It's hard to know all the words in English, but those are all my finished knits. And I've talked a bit about what I hope / plan to knit as well. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is yarn, and this time it isn't me that's broken my yarn band, but a very, very, very generous viewer has actually gifted me some yarn, and I'm not going to show everything now because I don't have the time to sit here and show everything, but I've grabbed my absolute favorites out of the bunch, and I'll show those here, and then I'll put pictures of the rest. But we can just start, and the first one out is this yarn. This is just a lovely green, and every time I walk past the pile of yarn, this grabs my eye. This is Ella Ray Lace Merino Chunky. It's 100% superwash, extra fine merino wool, and it's 110 meters per 100 grams, I think. But I really want to knit something for my son in this, and to be honest, for myself as well. But I think I'm going to make my son like what's it called, a terrazzo neck or something, just to shield his neck now that it's snowing and the wind and everything. But this color, it just speaks to me. I love this color, so I think this is going to be one of the next projects I cast on for, because I can't just keep going past it and not being able to work with it. It just is such a lovely color. The camera doesn't even do it justice. It's just the prettiest green I've seen. And then another really pretty one is this. This is Marino DK by Hedgehog Fibers. This is 115 grams and 200 meters. And I really like the different colors this has. The only thing is, I think this is so pretty. I don't know what to do with it. And I have never bought yarn like this before myself. So if you have any tips on what would be amazing to knit with this, please let me know. I was thinking maybe a hat or something. I don't know. Please let me know. I want to put all of this yarn to good use, because it's just so pretty and it was given to me so generously, and I'm just blown away by the kindness and all of that amazing yarn. Here is another one of my favorites. This is Sweet Sparrow yarns, and this is a mix of superwash merino, cashmere and nylon, and it's 400 yards per 100 meter, and I have 2 skeins. And I think this color is just so pretty, and I've been wanting to get into more pinks and knitting with pink and knitting something for myself in pink, and I think this is the perfect pink color, because this just I've never seen a pink so pretty, and I just want to cast on immediately. I think if I'm not careful, I'm going to end up with too many WIPs again. But I don't know what I could make with this. I'm thinking like something like camisole number 9. I don't know how much yarn you would need, but also a t-shirt in this would be amazing. I just want to make sure I pick the right thing to make, because this is just so lovely yarn. Another yarn I got from Sweet Sparrow yarns. This is superwash merino and nylon tweed. So it's not exactly the same yarn base, but I also think these colors look quite good together. So if you were to make like a striped sweater or something, I could maybe do it in this, but also would be amazing on its own, each of them. Just, I'm blown away by this yarn. It's the prettiest I've ever seen. I don't think I've ever seen yarn like this in person before even, so I'm just mind blown that such pretty yarn exists. And then another one of my favorites, this is Nutty Pine Fiber Co. It's 100% merino wool, non-superwash, in the color linen, and I think this color is also just the perfect basic, and this would also be a really nice top. But yeah, if you have any suggestions, if you know any good patterns, if you have any tips for me when it comes to yarn like this, because I've never used it before, please let me know. I'm just over the moon, super excited. My fiance is over me at this point because I just keep talking to him about this yarn and keep talking to him about all the amazing things I can make. And remember, these are only my favorites. I'm going to put pictures here of the rest, but there's just so much incredibly pretty yarn, and not casting on everything all at once has never been harder. I'm just glad I don't have specific plans for them, to be honest, because I would end up with 20 WIPs in a week. It's I'm just blown away with all that pretty yarn. But yeah, I just had to show you guys all of the pretty yarn. But yeah, I think that's it. Now I have to get back to knitting and just everything else. But yeah, I hope you liked this episode. If you did, please leave a like and a comment. It means the world to me if you do. And if you want to see more from me, please subscribe. Bye!